Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we are hopefully concluding the Patchnotes saga of the Warden of the Paunch. So this one, obviously the WAAAAAGH patch. Yeah, you know the drill. You know the drill by now. This is the unit balancing. This is the unit balancing stuff for all the stats of all the units that have been changed. It's gonna be hefty. They've made a lot of changes. So, first off, bug fixes. Fixed several instances of ROR being subtly different from their base unit at rank 9. So, yeah, mostly campaign related, but also you can chevron stuff. Not that people tend to put chevrons up to rank 9 all that often, but yeah, there we go. So, general changes there to put things in line. So, Rusty Arrow's morale has changed, Soul Crusher reload time reductions changed, Skyhammer reload time reductions changed, Shred of Lustria reload time reduction chain, all the rest of it. I'm not going to go through these, it's just more in keeping. So that's great. Unit name adjustments. The names of all chariot units have been pluralized to better reflect the fact that chariot units are comprised of more than one chariot on most unit sizes. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Chaos Knights with Lances found his mates and is now Chaos Knights with Lances. Aww. Chaos Knight with Lances. Oh, that's cute. That's a cute one. Visual improvements. The coming of Grom has prompted Alistair the White Lion to wield a flashy new axe that he actually had the entire time, but simply didn't tell anyone about. Love it. So that's nice. I love that they're even tarting up Alistair here, because he does get the White Lion chariot mount as well. So like, it's just nice to bolster him up. Technically not multiplayer, but you know, it's fine. It's still great. So, Beastmen, Razor Gore chariots. Their cost has been decreased from 1,100 to 1,000, which I think is worthy. Like, people don't bring them enough, frankly. Just, yeah. So I like that. Now they have a slightly different unit category icon. Ah, interesting. Razor Gore herds. Cost increased from 550 to 600. I'm so saddened by this, actually. I feel like I was one of the first people to use Razor Gores like consistently in multiplayer, and since I started they've just been getting more and more expensive because suddenly people have realized that they're just insanely powerful. Like it gives your entire frontline mass, so you can just rely on the cheap infantry and they don't get bowled over, you know. Suddenly between like cheap Ungor spears and Razor Gore herds they can take on heavy cav, which is just something they couldn't do. You know, none of those units could do that on their own, but like they're just great. They just add mass. That's all they're for. But well, and armor piercing. But yeah, I'm so saddened by that. Anyway, sorry guys for pointing out how great Razor Gore herds were. Anyway, Minor Soldier Shield, melee defense has been decreased. Only by 1, so nothing major. The Butchers at Kalkengard, again, just 1 melee defense down, so nothing major there either. For Bretonia, the Royal Hippogriff Knights now have their own unit category icon, so that's kind of nice. I really like that when they stand out a bit on the battlefield, because a lot of the times they use the same icons again and again and again for a lot of different units, so it's hard to tell if it's one unit or another, and sometimes it's a very big distinction. Questing Knights, they have lowered melee defense from 37 to, increased from 37 to 38, so a little more survivable in melee, which makes sense. They aren't supposed to be a cycle charging kind of unit. The Cannons of Cornels also have the same increase, and their cost has gone up by 50. The Green Knight is cheaper, which makes sense because he's sort of trash. Just, if you're going against, you know, if you expect the Green Knight, just Spirit Leech. Yeah, there you go. That's $2,000 gone. So, yeah, him being a bit cheaper makes a lot of sense. Pegasus Knights, increased melee attack from 32 to 34. That's nice to see. And their anti-large has gone up a bit too, because, yeah, they're very squishy, and they weren't really doing enough damage to warrant how easy they were to murder. So, just being a little bit better at getting those hits in is nice. For Dark Elves, Scourge Runner and Cold One Chariots can no longer hide in forests, which makes a lot of sense, because well, they shouldn't be able to, really. Ravages of Rakarth, the Scourge Runner Chariot Regiment Renown, their reload reduction has been reduced from 30 to 10, so they'll be a lot more lethal at range. Scourge Runner Chariots and Ravages of Rakarth added both units to the units with 360 degree fire arc cap. Okay, so that is an interesting one. So that was a good way to avoid the limit on sort of 360 firing arc units, and that has been removed, so that's good. That's a good sign. Sisters of Slaughter, decreased melee defense. Makes sense. In melee they're invincible. It's disgusting. Although that's kind of the point. You want to shoot them at range or cycle charge them with heavy cav or something. You want to keep them off their feet or shoot them off their feet, whichever. Or sweep them, but there's no sweeping units yet in the game. I really shouldn't sit here and make jokes. This is probably going to take 8 hours. You've seen this length of the video already. Now you know why. Snikch Harvesters, Doomfire Warlocks. Cost has been increased, which makes sense. They're just a go-to unit just with the free spells alone. They are super useful. Just cleaning duty. They're so quick. Do so much damage. Glass cannons, but you don't have to get them into a fight if you don't want to, because nothing can catch them. Dark Shards, cost reduced. Oh, that makes sense, I think. Dark Shards on their own are kind of pointless. Same with Dark Shard Shields. There just seem to be better ways of, utilising missiles, and a lot of the time you kind of don't bother, given that they're such short range. So making them a bit cheaper, I like. See a lot more of them. Bloodwrack Medusa has increased melee attack now, which is cool to see. And the Siren of Red Ruin, the Bloodwrack Medusa Regiment Renown, has again increased melee attack. Malekith, mounted on Seraphon, which is his black dragon, decreased physical resistance from 20% to 15%, which again, that's really good. Just general defensive things seem to be a lot lower at the moment for just general sort of buffs on units, but also for items, and I really like that. It emphasizes the rock, paper, scissors a lot, because before you can just stack a bunch of resistances and then just tank things that you shouldn't be fighting, which I never really liked, so I like that. Now more emphasis on damage rather than protection, which is good. Charybdis increased HP by, about 1,000, just under 1,000. And the cost has been decreased. That's interesting. I wonder why the Charybdis in particular has been reduced in price. I mean, I guess you didn't see it much, but it's very, very tanky. I think a lot of it is the fact it doesn't regenerate. The extra sort of anti-large utility out of it, you're probably better off using Hydras that have the breath attack and the regeneration. So the Charybdis doesn't really match up there. So yeah, a bit cheaper. It's nice. Witch Elves on Cauldron of Blood and Bloodrack Shrine. Riders now use corrected weapon projectiles, so their daggers will no longer deal the same damage as the vehicle does when ramming into enemies. Oh, wow. That's novel. That's pretty cool. That was a thing, but good that that's fixed. But yeah, I never considered that as a thing. So yeah, because they throw daggers off the edge at people while it's scooting about. Anyway, Dwarfs, Flame Cannon, cost decreased. Hell yeah, only by 50, but still, more flame cannons always makes me happy. The problem with flame cannons in multiplayer is they just don't have the range. So if you are expecting artillery, it's quite easy to sort of match dwarf artillery with just sort of like, some cheap artillery yourself. It certainly helps you deal with things like organ guns or flame cannons that are just like way high damaging. You really just want to cancel them out before moving in. Even though they've still got cannons left, cannons aren't half as deadly as flame cannons. So, often you'll just counter them quite early, so they don't see enough use, I don't think. So that's lovely. Range of great weapons, ammunition's been increased. Nice. Because, yeah, they have very low ammo. Not bad in melee, but, like, you still want to throw axes rather than swing them. Gyro Bombers. Active contact effects suppressed to projectiles, which is good. That'll slow enemies down. Makes it a little bit more unique. And the missile projectile explosion radius has increased a bit. So that means they'll do better against wider, sort of like looser groups of enemies as well, which is nice. Skyhammer, Gyro Bomber, same things. Empire, Griffins. Attack metadata reworked to make Griffins more effective against large groups of enemies. Alright, that seems odd. Attack metadata. I'm just assuming they basically have a bigger splash radius. I'm assuming that's what that means. I don't know. Or it could literally be like animation use. So like the animation where it dives forward and attacks a bunch of stuff at once. It could literally be like the percentages of which animations it picks that's been tweaked. So yeah, could be stuff like that. But either way, better against large groups. I like that. I like the sound of that. Empire General, cost has been reduced from 900 to 800. That's good. That mount was a bit too expensive, considering that usually you just wouldn't bother with the Empire General. You'd bring one of the legendary lords, so it makes sense that he'd be cheaper. With his Griffin as well. Demogryph Knights now have their own unit category icon, which is cool, so you can spot them in a crowd. Boris Toddbringer, mounted on Imperial Griffin, gained innate ability Blood Roar. Good. Crossbowman, cheaper. Yeah. Actually, no. I don't know. People aren't really bringing crossbowmen, but archers exist. Archers exist as the sort of the lowest tier missile. So it's weird to make crossbowmen cheaper. Because the point is they're sort of like midway armor piercing between archers and handguns, and then huntsmen being sort of very much anti-large. So, but I don't know. I guess they don't have much of a purpose if they're not the cheapest or anything. But I don't know what this is going to do to save that. So, I don't know. Weird one for me. Weird one for me that they're cheaper. Hellstorm Rocket Battery, cost reduction by 50. Hellblaster Volley Gun down by 50 as well. Again, yeah, risky things to bring, but love them. So that's nice. Rights Guard, increased melee defense from 28 to 29. Good, good. They'll be a bit stockier in combat. They are very sturdy. My dog's angry at someone in the other room. I'm assuming someone's walking past the house. How dare they? How dare they? Don't they know that we own this entire neighborhood? God. Disgusting. Sittler's Rights Guard, melee defense from 36 to 7. War Wagons, base missile damage has gone from 3 to 5, and the AP missile damage has gone from 15 to 25. Yes, absolutely. They suck. Just War Wagons are rubbish. They needed to do more damage. The battle would be decided long before they'd spent their ammunition or hurt anything, really. So yeah, they need to be better at shooting stuff. They need to be, like, I mean, ideally they should be more damaging than Outriders, you know? Because they're going to get caught. They don't have the mobility of Outriders. They're just going to get caught. I mean, I know they've got the armor and stuff, but it's not that much. So yeah, they should be hitting a heck of a lot harder. So there's a point to them, because Outriders are just better. Because Outriders can just stay out of combat, you know? So they don't need the armor, frankly. So anyway, War Wagons with mortars, more ammunition, nice. Increase the range a bit as well, so that's kind of nice. Illuminarch of Hish increased armor from 40 to 60, so make them a little less flimsy, because they can get killed pretty quickly by sort of, you know, just cheap sort of archers or anything. Once the front lines get nearby, and as soon as they get caught out by any cavalry, you know, even non-AP cavalry, they just get murdered. So yeah, I like that. Also increased HP, just yeah, a little bit more survivable, which isn't bad, because they're not as accurate as they once were, so it makes sense. Temple Half Illuminarch, same changes basically. Greenskins. All Lord characters have 150 cost increase now that WAAAGH has been built into the faction and no longer needs to be taken as a separate ability. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, because usually you'd spend that much by taking WAAAGH every single time, because why wouldn't you, you know? So that makes sense. Night Goblin War Bosses, 400 to 550. That's a big increase for such a little guy, but WAAAGH's powerful, so it's still the same cost price, but it just seems like such a huge leap. But it makes perfect sense. So it's all of them. It's just all of them. On every mount as well. All of the things. So, Black Orcs. Colours overridden for all factions so that unit appears more lore-friendly. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Alright. Snick and Night Goblin War Boss now have Vanguard deployment by default. Good. Good. That makes a lot of sense. It's bizarre that they didn't. You know, all crappy Night Goblins have Vanguard. They should have Vanguard as well. Grimgore Ironhide. He's a big boy now. They've increased his size. He's literally bigger than he was. Snick increased speed from 34 to 35. Base melee damage from 110 to 115. Armor piercing has gone from 275 to 300. So he hits harder now, which is nice. Including the armor piercing. So generally, more fighty. Love it. Azhag, melee defense has been increased quite a bit from 24 to 32. So he can get stuck into combat a lot more, which is good. Because yeah, 24 melee defense is nothing. So low. So low. I know monsters tend to have lower melee defense, but 24 is just weak. I know he's a spellcaster, but he's a spellcaster on a wyvern. I mean, come on. So I like that. Like that change. Ragnarok Spider, decreased armor from 150 to 120. Yeah, alright, that makes sense, actually. 150 was unbelievable. And now we have a big armoured boy, if you want a big armoured boy. There's the Rogue Idol now, filling a similar role of just being the massive tank. You know, the big damage sponge. So, yeah, making the Ragnarok slightly less armoured is a nice way to sort of offset that. But health has gone up, and so has melee attack. So, in most fights, it's going to take just as long to kill her, because of the extra health. But if you've got dedicated... you know, anti-large, you'll be able to do some more damage to her with the lower armor, which is nice. So I like that. Increased melee attack, though, which will be more deadly. Queen, same changes. Night Goblin Fanatics cost more. Archer Fanatics cost more. AP Loonies cost more. So all of this is because the Fanatics move is not rubbish anymore. You can actually target it. It's like a wind spell that you can cast near. It doesn't have to spawn from the unit. So you're not sort of restricted in that way. So they are way more powerful as a result. So that makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense to do that. It might end up getting increased again, or they might end up nerfing the damage of Fanatics, because it's very good. 8 Peak Loonies, yes, so Night Goblin Squig Hoppers increased melee attack from 23 to 25. Durkit Squigs, same change. Death Creepers, cheaper, yeah, because they're trash. Just any Spider Rider archers are pointless. I just don't see them as being even remotely useful in multiplayer. Because, well, they're slower than anything that can kill them. You know, they're not the quickest. And they body block the same as the other much, much cheaper Spider Riders. So you may as well use the much, much cheaper Spider Riders. Just, they're trash. Moon Howlers. Cost decreased from 450 to 425. Doom Divers, cost increased from 950 to 1,000. Ah, but they are very, very good. They've been getting used a lot lately. Orc Boar Boys, increased armor from 55 to 65. Wow, that's pretty substantial leap. That's cool. And Savage Orc Boar Boys have more armor, which is a very strange thing for Savage Orcs to have increased armor, but there you go. Orc Boar Boy Biggins have more armor. Savage Orc Boar Boy Biggins have, similar. It's the same stats. Actually, no, the Biggins have 20 more armor. My bad. Anyway, Broken Tusk Mob, they have now 100 armor, which is quite cool to see. High Elves, Chariot model and metadata fixes. We have made adjustments to the metadata of the following units because it was observed that they were overperforming in combat. Noble on Ithalmar Chariot, the Mage on Ithalmar Chariot, and the Ithalmar Chariot Spearman. So the reason why it's metadata is just it's stuff that's in the background that isn't on the unit card. I think that was basically it. So the Noble on the Ithalmar Chariot, for instance, well, all of this stuff, it would just run forwards and just push people, and they just take damage, and it was a bit silly. They were just slaughtering everybody. So I guess like attack intervals and all sorts of weird stuff going on in the background that's a bit difficult to explain, I'm assuming. But yeah, they were killing everybody, so that's perfect. Although Ithalmar Chariot Spearman, what does that mean? Huh. This Ithalmar Chariot, surely. What's the Spearman? I don't know. Whatever, that's fine. We discovered that the metadata zones dictate the area which the unit can logically attack, and hit targets in melee was scaled and positioned incorrectly. These issues have been fixed so that the logical attack areas, splash attack zones, of these units are much more in line with the visual attack animations performed in melee combat. Okay. So yeah, metadata, guys, metadata. Also in battle, these units now use a new variation of the Chariot model, in that has the banner moved over to the side in order to prevent the mounted characters from coming into it. Okay. Interesting. That's a nice little fix. High Elf Mages, new laws of magic. Yeah, there's a lot. Added new spell lore options for High Elf Mages. Beasts, Death, Fire, and Metal. They got them all now, guys. They got them all 9. It's amazing. The Fire Mage has a Sun Dragon mount. Excellent, which no other mages get. Lovely. And all mages now have preset colours that match their associated lore, which is very cool. They all look really cool. So, new mounts. Added a White Lion Chariot mount for Alistair the White Lion. So, not a multiplayer, but in custom battles you can bring them. Added Arcane Phoenix mount for Teclis. Hell yeah. And added a Griffin mount for both the Prince and Princess, which is nice because it fits the more sort of Griffin theme of Altharian, which is nice. In campaign anyway. In multiplayer it's just nice to have another, mount option. So, Princesses and Alistair the White Lion no longer gain martial prowess when mounted on a Great Eagle. Oh. Interesting. Is it because it's supposed to be Martial Mastery? Maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe they got both by accident? Who knows? Princesses and Handmaidens can now fire on the move in a 360 arc when on foot. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Noble, Great Eagle mount cost increased from 400 to 550. Yeah, they made pretty terrible goon squads. It was very scary. Tyrion replaced Martial Prowess with Martial Mastery, as it should be, but that means he'll be an even better duelist. That's very scary. White Lions of Trace have increased HP per entity by 2, increased melee defense from 24 to 28, and decreased charge bonus from 22 to 18. So, worse on the charge, but that's the thing. They're supposed to be a unit that sort of follows up in combat anyway, so that's basically not going to affect anyone if they're being used correctly. So, Spearmen take a charge, White Lions sort of walk in. They're not going to get a clean charge anyway because they're going through other units, so that doesn't matter. So, this is all great, just more health and melee defense, and they can just get that AP in. So, brilliant. Pure Main Company, same deal. Illyrian Reaver Archers, cost decreased from 750 to 700. Herald of the Wind, the Illyrian Reavers of Bows, increased melee defense from 29 to 31, cool. And cost decreased to 900. Wow, interesting, because they're pretty great. They're pretty great. I think the main problem with them, though, because they're completely impossible to catch. But they don't have armor-piercing missiles, really, so they're not going to really get their value in, at range, necessarily, unless there's some very expensive unarmored things on the field, So having them that expensive, it just sort of means they're never going to pay for themselves. So making them a little bit more resilient in melee is nice. They can start recharging and things. Get a bit more stuck in. So I like that change. Lizardman, Ripodactyl Riders, increased melee defense from 22 to 23. Nothing major, but helps. And the Colossadon Hunters have the same treatment, plus 1 melee defense. Norska. So the Frostworm, increased melee attack from 44 to 45, increased melee defense from 40 to 41. Just makes them a little sturdier, a little bit better in combat, which I like. They tend to get beaten up quite quickly if they're caught out, which is odd for a big boy like a Frostworm. Skinwolf Werekin, cheaper. Interesting. I didn't think they really needed it, but I guess they're not seeing much use, so that makes sense. Also, War Mammoths, cheaper. Yeah, War Mammoths are just... They seem too expensive. You know, people are prepared for killing things like mammoths, so you may as well just go feral, because it's way cheaper. Like, if you really want a mammoth, a War Mammoth doesn't tend to really pay for itself often, unless you know you're going to be trampling on, like, really expensive infantry. But often they're going to have something to defend them and deal with mammoths if that's the case. Like Chaos, they have plenty of tools to take out a War Mammoth. And Dwarfs, yeah, so much artillery, so it's just not worth it, really. So yeah, them being cheaper can't hurt. Same with the War Shrine being cheaper. Cool. Also, gained the attribute Encourage to the War Shrine, which makes a lot of sense. It is encouraging to see. I like that. Skaven, Plague Monks, increased melee defense by 1. Plague Monk Sensor Bearers, melee defense by 1. And same with the Regiment Renown, has been increased by 1 too. A Storm Vermin, Sword and Shield, they've had their melee attack increase from 36 to 38. That's interesting. Bit better at killing now, which is nice. Still no more AP, so again it just helps them cut through chaff nice and quickly, which is good. Storm with Halberds also get the increase in melee attack though, so help them cut through not chaff, I suppose. Elite cavalry and the like, a little bit better, which is nice. Council Guard get the same treatment, plus 1 melee attack. Poisoned Wind Mortars, the Poisoned Wind contact effect, the maximum number of entities has been lowered from 32 to 28. So it can't damage quite as many things all at once if there's a big pile of stuff. So fair enough. But also, what's really fun about the Poisoned Wind contact effect is that is like the only poison AoE sort of debuff thing that will be still administering friendly fire, which is hilarious. Accuracy increased slightly for them too. That's nice. Tomb Kings, Lich Priest of Shadows, is now available in custom battles in the campaign exclusive unit section. Very strange that is remaining as a campaign exclusive thing. I find it odd that this isn't available in multiplayer. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like a thematic change or like balance. Is it a balance change? I don't know what would make them like super OP. I mean, Shadows is a brilliant lore of magic. Maybe it just overshadows the others. Yeah, I'm here all night. And I will be. There's still so much to go through. Anyway, Nagara Warriors increased melee defense from 21 to 22. Necrosphinx increased leadership from 45 to 50. They did tend to crumble quite quickly if you surround them. So, yeah, that makes sense. Sphinx of Usekf as well. Lovely. Necropolis Knights, base damage has been increased by 1, AP damage has been increased by 2, melee defense has been increased by 3, and their cost has been decreased. So Necropolis Knights, far more cost effective than they once were, because they definitely got neglected. Vampire Coast, bloated corpses now have a new tooltip that explains their ability. Okay, make it a bit clear that they go boom, and that's not your fault. That's the intention. Rotting Prometheans are a little bit cheaper, which is interesting. Alright. Deck Droppers excuse me. Deck Droppers Bombers, they're cheaper, which makes sense. No one ever brought them. It's not very good. They used to be super overpowered. It's hilarious. In early access for Vampire Coast, you just got like any of these and they could just one volley wipe out an entire unit of like goblin archers. Just the entire unit shattered. Just from a single volley. It was hilarious. They were so good. But now, nah, they're not. You just bring handguns, don't you? Because you don't really need something that's good at killing chaff up in the sky. You want something that can kill really dangerous things up in the sky, because it keeps you out of trouble. It keeps the tools that you need to kill the most expensive stuff out of the way of the most expensive stuff. So, can't get countered by what they're trying to kill. So, cost reduced for them too, though. Wow, interesting. Saltwall Scuttlers, same deal. They're cheaper too. I'm slightly surprised. By that. Anyway, Vampire Counts. Vargeist increased melee defense from 24 to 25. The Devils of Schwarzhafen They have the same treatment: extra melee defense, Hex Wraiths, extra melee defense, Chillgeists, extra melee defense, Terrorgeist, increased melee attack from 26 to 36, but the anti-large has been reduced by 10. So, this I kind of like, because it means they're less of a specialist unit, so they will have the exact same melee attack against large units, but it means they'll be slightly better at attacking things that aren't large as well. So I like that. Also, a bit cheaper. Strigoi Vampire Lord on a Terrorgeist has the same treatment, and the Strigoi Ghoul King has the same treatment on the Terrorgeist. Although, also, increased melee defense as well, because why not? Warriors of Chaos, Gorby's Chariots now have their own unit category icon, which is nice. I thought they already did, actually, the Gorby's Chariots. I guess not. I guess same as the normal Chariots. Chaos Sorcerer Lord, all laws and mounts. Leadership has been increased by 5, which, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Chaos Trolls, Armoured, are a bit cheaper, which is, yeah, I get that. Just, if you're going to bring stuff with mass, like Chaos Trolls, it doesn't tend to be Chaos Trolls, really. Especially the armoured ones, you know? You can go cheap with the normal Trolls, or if you want something armoured, like, you're better off getting, like, any other unit, really. There's so many other big, scary, stompy monsters for the Warriors of Chaos that I don't think armoured Chaos Trolls really... They don't really do it. They don't really do it. But still, so that's nice, bit cheaper. Might see it more often. Hell Cannons, increased artillery piece HP from 1700 to 1950, so it won't get destroyed quite as quickly. And the accuracy has gone up again. So the Hell Cannon seems to get tweaked so often. It goes in and out of vogue all the time. Solid Damnation, same thing. Demon Spew, increased melee attack interval from 3.6 to 4.3, so that means it's longer between attacks. So there, an increase is a bad thing. That's a debuff. But their and their base melee damage has gone down too. Wow. And but their armor piercing's gone up by a couple. So same amount of damage overall, but more of it is guaranteed, outside of ward saves, etc., physical resist. But yeah, they'll be attacking a little less often. They were basically lawnmowers, which is kind of their job, but like flipping heck, they were lawnmowers. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. It just means they don't literally walk through enemies anymore. Now they have to sort of creep forward through enemies. Doubt it'll stop them, but still, that's good. Wood Elves, Dryads, increased melee defense from 24 to 25. Okay, a little more survivable. Treekin, same. No, not the same. Melee attack has gone up slightly. That's nice. 5 Arc Elders, increased melee attack from 32 to 33. That's cool to see. And, right, spells and abilities. That's actually all the unit balance. My word. How exciting. Still so much else going on, though. So, do I just do this as a separate, another video? Do I do a spells and abilities video? Abilities. Oh, yeah, we're nearly done, actually. I'll do it in the same one, then. We're nearly done. Holy cow, we're nearly done. I'm surprised. Spells and abilities. Projectile, spell, damage, reliability. Previously, these abilities had a hidden rule, which prevented them from causing friendly fire for the first 2 seconds of their lifetime, and shrunk them for the first 3 seconds of their lifetime. Yep, both of these rules have been removed as they were unintentional. Oh, the net result is that the following ability should feel more reliable when cast at short ranges, with moderate increases to the size of their projectile. Good, I like that. I like that a lot. Because, yeah, sometimes, like, magic missiles would do very little. Cast, like, directly into something. So, that affects the Blood-Racked Cauldron, the Sky Cauldron, the Brazen Cauldron, lots of cauldrons, Chalice of Potions, Comet of Casadora. Wait, Chalice of Potions and Comet of Casadora are affected by that. How odd. Huh. Well, I guess it's the friendly fire thing, right? So it'll hit enemies just as much. Still, that's... Anyway, so Chalice of Potions, Comet of Casadora. So, Chalice of Potions is the Comet of Casadora. Yeah. Arrows of Akshai, or Akshi. I think it's supposed to be Ash Key, but mixed up a bit, because it's Ash, because it's fire, and Key, because that's its symbol for some reason. So I think it's supposed to be Ash Key, but swapped to make it more fantasy-y. So I think it's actually... That's what I've settled on. So, Fire Arrow, Storm Demon, Bow of the Seafarer, the Amber Spear, Lamentation of Despair, Soul Quench, Fireball, Frost Breath, Hydra Breath, Dragon Breath. You know what? This is boring. You know what? I got a voice modulator recently because I have too much time to muck about with things. So I did that. So I think you can probably hear it if I do this. So I'm going to read it in a more exciting way. So I'm not going to know what this sounds like. So this is going to be really funny if I have to just cut the end of this video. So hang on. Let's check what we're on. Let's check what we're on. Oh, Cybertune. Perfect. This is going to be fantastic. So, from the top.
Bloodwrack Cauldron, Sky Cauldron, Brazen Cauldron, Chalice of Potions, Comet of Cassandora, Arrows of Akshai, Akshi, Fire Arrow, Storm Demon, Bow of the Seafarer, the Amber Spear, Lamentation of Despair, Soul Quench, Fireball, Frost Breath, Hydra Breath, Dragon Breath, All Types, Hunting Spear, Spear of Kurnos, Skarsnek's Bronner, Copious Vomit, Venom Staff, Volley of Dark Arrows, Volley of High Arrows, Arrow of Kurnos, Shem's Burning Gaze, Gaze of Mork, Vindictive Glare, Gaze of the Gash, Pyromaniac, Big Boom, Reaver Bow, Hail of Doom, Arrow.
Next up on our list, we have Summoning Spells Army Capacity Limit. Previously, some summoning spells could not be cast if the army was already at its 20 unit cap. This was inconsistently rolled out and negatively impacted gameplay. This cap has now been removed, and all summon spells can be cast regardless of if the army is at capacity or not. Okay, that just feels to me like that should have been the case forever. I love that that's a thing, because that was so bleak. That was so bleak, not be able to summon a unit. It'd be like, you did it, you summoned a unit, and they just would be nowhere to be seen. I hated that. So I like that. I like that a lot. So, quick battle and multiplayer Winds of Magic change. Previously, Winds of Magic followed the same rules as campaign, and the starting amount was randomly rolled between two numbers. This is now changed in multiplayer and quick battle, where the starting amount should always be 15. That's good. That makes it more fair. It means you can plan sort of your tactics around magic. You're not suddenly shafted, you know, because your tactic sort of necessitated you having enough magic to cast, like, you know, sneaky stab him immediately. I'm not sure why that would be the case, but, you know, whatever. Just, that's great. So I like that. Some consistency there is wonderful. That's a very nice change that for some reason it never really dawned on me that it should be the case, but now that I've read that, my god, that makes sense. I can't believe that wasn't the case. Spells rebalance. Flesh to Stone. Winds of Magic cost reduced from 7 to 6, which I like. It's very underutilized. I love it playing as the Empire against Dwarfs, because it's hilarious suddenly buffing like any of your infantry to obscene amounts of armor when they're fighting Longbeard. Suddenly your guys could really hold out against much superior units, which I find really funny. Also, you can basically make great swords pretty much impenetrable to damage from Longbeards if they don't have, you know, great weapons, which is great. I love it. But yeah, a bit cheaper. Fine, I get it. It's a bit niche. Overcasted, Winds of Magic cost reduced from 11 to 10. Wind Blast. Yeah, AP damage been reduced. It was killer. That was such a cheap spell to do so much damage to very elite units, so I get it. Brainburster, overcast range increase, removed from the spell, so overcasting it won't give you the extra range. Brainburst is great. I love spamming that as well as Azhag. Just trigger the Bonewood Staff over and over again with a constant melee attack buffs. It's so good. Occam's Mind Razor, Winds of Magic cost reduced from 10 to 9. That's kind of cool because it's a nice augment for your troops. And yeah, again, Shadow Magic. There's so many great spells to choose from. Occam's Mind Razor, I think, gets neglected a lot. So anyway, also makes it cheaper overcasting it as well. Warp Lightning, explosion radius reduced from 6 meters to 5 meters. So basically, it's not going to hit as many troops. So that's, yeah, you can all breathe a sigh of relief. Because, God, that was a scary spell. I hate it. And love it. Depends what side of it I'm on, really. Savage Dominion, Winds of Magic cost increased from 15 to 18. And the summoned Cygor stable binding duration has been increased. So it's more expensive to cast. So I'm assuming that's more in line, so make it harder to spam. Because, you know, just constantly spamming summon Cygors is annoying. I know it's got a limit, but, like, it should be a real stretch to get 2 of them out. So I like the idea of it just costing more Winds of Magic. It limits what else you can do that battle, you know. But it doesn't completely punish you for it. They will last a little bit longer as a result, which I think makes sense. I think summoned Cygors are a bit stupid a lot of the time because, you know, the missiles don't always hit, and they really get very few shots to pay for themselves. I know it's only 6 seconds extra, but that could be another missile thrown, which, if it lands, that could be very good for him. So, I like that. I like that, but it's not coming for free. So, good. Balance. So, Transformation of Cadon. Winds magic cost has been increased as well. And Vermintide actually has fewer uses now, from 6 to 5, so you can't spam clan rats quite as much. Which I guess makes sense, because, yeah, you could just keep summoning rats, like, right up to the end of combat, which was a little bit scary. You know, when it's neck and neck, and suddenly, oh, another unit. Oh, another one, and another! Yeah, it was a bit of a pain. Abilities. Existing ability changes. Boris Todbringer's Crush the Weak. Lowered the rarity from rare to uncommon. Cost of ability reduced 2 as a result of that. -4 leadership effect has been removed, though. So, it's not going to lower leadership. But, I mean, he's got the Blood Roar already. He was so good at breaking people because of that. But now it just means he's going to have to get stuck in and do some damage before they run. So, yeah, good. Everqueen's Court Guards. Sister of Avalon ROR. Banner of Avalon. Fixed ability not detailing the improved Wind of Magic power reserves. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Felix's Blood Oath now only affects himself and one other friendly character. Closest valid friendly character is chosen. Okay. I think it hit every friendly character, but I think it also often affected enemy characters, which was super weird. And not intended. So, Spinning Loons and Loons of 8 Peaks. Yeah, here we go. Change targeting behavior abilities to make them easy to use. It doesn't come from the unit anymore. It's like a breath spell. It's quite short range, though. It's like casting Wind Blast, basically. Which is amazing. Love it. Absolutely love it. So good. Just the best. So, Spite of the Bad Moon. Now an anti-large and damage buff for allies in the area. Huh. Interesting. Because Spite the Bad Moon. Hang on, which one's that? No, that's the ability for Skarsnik, isn't it? You use Spite the Bad Moon. Anyway, that's nice. It's anti-large. Just an anti-large boost to nearby things is kind of awesome, actually. Alith Anar's Mislead and Ixtra's Triad's Doppelgang. Units spawned by these abilities will now be spawned at the same health as the parent unit. The entities in the unit spawned by Doppelgang also had their mass significantly reduced in order to reduce the ability's effectiveness as a makeshift snare or slow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool. I like that, though. That's good. Good changes. Sword of Teclis. Old effects have been removed. Oh. Now it grants a +20 Winds of Magic Reserve and a 0.03 regen mod. That's pretty cool, actually. Because Sword of Teclis just made him, like, temporarily a badass in combat, which I kind of like that, actually. I do kind of like that. But +20 Winds of Magic Reserve. Can he use that over and over again? Because that means he's basically got unlimited magic. And that is terrifying. That really does make him the preeminent spellcaster in the world. I love that. That's actually really cool. And now this is super refreshing to see, because I actually queried what changes would be made in. It seems that they have brought some in. They said, oh, we still got a lot to look through. But hey, it looks like some stuff did make it in, which is great. So, Proving Grounds was an experimental beta they did recently, which I loved. If you want to check it out, there's a Grombrindal campaign that I played through with it. Sadly, the whole area's changed a bit in this patch. But it's still a very fun campaign, and I think Proving Grounds really increased the fun and the tension in a lot of moments. I really love the changes. I want to see a lot of them implemented. But these are the ones that they have implemented. They're big changes, so they really do need to be careful about them, because it'll completely upturn the game. But anyway, you recently ran an experimental build called the Proving Grounds to test some more extreme changes to in-game systems and mechanics. We've implemented a few minor changes based on our learnings from beta feedback, and may look at implementing more in future. Malice's AI Confederation frequency has been reduced. Okay. He always turned into Nagaron, didn't he? Always ended up just part of Malekith's forces. So yeah, I like that. Frequency for AI to use offer to join war has been reduced. Thank Christ for that. Thank Sigma that has changed, because I hated that so much. It was the most irritating thing. You'd be at war with, you'd be playing as I don't know, the Greenskins. You'd be fighting some dwarves, and the dwarves would invite the Skaven to fight you. It never made any sense, and it was always so obnoxious. So that's great. Fall off for diplomatic events reduced. Not entirely sure what that's referring to exactly. Don't know. AI vampire counts are now using basic strategic behavior instead of defensive behavior. Okay. Auto-resolver specific system to ensure unit losses disabled. Units generally less likely to be killed in the auto-resolve. Good. Good. I like that, because having units get wiped out because of auto-resolve, even though you could easily win the fight, it was just so frustrating. Auto-resolver bonus against minor factions adjusted for Greenskins, Dark Elves, Skaven, and Vampires. Skaven AI unit recruitment and construction has been improved. I hope that means it's been improved for the, you know, for the player enjoyment, not for min-maxing Skaven, because I hate fighting Skaven now. It's just Storm Vermin and Weapon Teams. I cannot stand it. It's so tedious. I want to fight hordes of rats, like in the past. So hopefully this will do something about that, and we'll get more hordes of rats, as well as Weapon Teams and things, but I want to fight hordes of rats again. Please. So hopefully that'll be the case. Updated AI victory region setup, which the AI will prioritize a little more in Mortal Empire. So minor factions generally try and keep the regions out of another subculture's influence. Makes sense. Major factions want to own it all. Vampire Coast focus on coastlines, Dwarfs focus on mountains, Tomb Kings focus on Southlands desert, Empire territory focus for Empire and Vampire counts, Manfred and Vlad. Bretonia focus on Bretonian territory, Belegar, Skarsnik and Queek keep their Carrick 8 Peaks objective, and the High Elves and Dark Elves focus on Ulthuan. Dark Elves and Alith Anar focus on Nagarond. So that's cool. That is cool to see that they're trying to, you know, they're trying to keep focused on the things they should be focused on. Also, diplomacy changes. The vampire counts now start at war with Stirland, which is kind of interesting because they... Oh, no, that'll just be for the AI, right? I'm pretty sure. So, because they start with the whole region, I think, now in Mortal Empires, don't they? I forget, but being at war with Stirland makes sense. Schwarzhafen starts at... No, Schwarzhafen still exists, so... Start war with Averland. I guess it just means that these guys all team up and attack stuff, which is fine. Remove the war between Eataine and Cathik in Mortal Empires. Yeah, because there are enough other things for Eataine and Cathik to be fighting now, for them to be at war to begin with. So reduce Confederation likeliness for Greenskins through diplomacy, as they have the Norske Star Confederation option now. So yeah, that's fine. So they defeat an enemy Greenskin, they'll bring them into the fold, but otherwise they're not necessarily going to go to war with them, so you're not going to get Confederation as often there, which I like that a lot. Also, now let's go through all the patch notes in Chinese. So, I don't know Chinese. Simplified or not, it's not simple enough for me. So, anyway guys, that's been it. We got through them all. It only took 2 hours or something crazy. So, yeah, we've done it. Also, my tea's gone cold. God damn it. Right, guys, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, subscribe. And, yeah, let me know what your favourite changes are. There's been a lot. There's been a heck of a lot of changes. And, yeah, there's nothing in here that I've just thought, well, that's stupid. There's always something I think, why? Why did you do that? My only gripes are Razor Gores are more expensive because I love my little piggies, so, you know, that's sad. But other than that, yeah, it's great, I think. I'm not seeing anything that's obviously bad here. It all seems really positive, so we'll just have to wait and see how that all, how it all works out when everyone gets access to it. Very soon, in fact. So, guys, yeah, if you enjoyed it, comment, like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.